Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Taupō District Council meeting today, the February meeting already. Can you believe? Welcome, councillors. The Deputy Mayor is supposedly coming online. Hopefully, we in New Zealand have been on time today. Welcome members of the public, members of the press, and staff. Good afternoon, everyone. We are live streaming today, I believe. Recording and uploading. Will you get back to the live stream? Oh, okay. Okay, right. First up on the item this afternoon, the karakia, and Councillor Duncan Campbell was offered to do the karakia this afternoon. Councillor Campbell.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, what if it was true? Oh my, oh my, oh my, help me, is it true? And did he die upon that cross? And did he come back across? Jesus walking on the waters, sweet Jesus walking in the sky. Thinking Sandy took my hand, he raised me up and he brought me up. I can hold my head high. And will I be true to my birth? Will I give what I'm worth? Oh yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, I come when you call. And yes sir, yes sir, yes sir, oh, sweet Jesus, my all in all.
Thank you. Item number 2, apologies. Hello, just for the lateness of the state, it's not online there yet. So move it. Thank you, Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Rankin. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Item number 3, conflicts of interest pertaining to any of the items today. Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you, Your Worship. Perceived conflict of interest for item 5.
Thank you very much, Councillor Greenslade. Note that. Right, any other conflicts of interest? Councillor Westerman.
Just in regard to 5.4, the assignment of commissioners.
Thank you very much. They will be noted. Okay, item 4, the confirmation of the minutes that was held of the ordinary council meeting that was held on the 1st of February 2024. Are there any points of clarification of those minutes or any matter in writing? Could I open the there? Thank you, Councillor Eastman, seconded by Councillor Leonard. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thank you. Right. Item 5.1, notice the motion. So I've called upon that come from Councillor Campbell. Would you like to speak to this motion, Councillor Campbell?
Yes, Your Worship.
Yes.
First, thanks to staff for helping me put this together, and also a helpful guide for future notices of motion. It's much appreciated. Put simply, this motion is because as I see it, of a need to give some surety to the holiday park leaseholder, Mr. Tilton, that this council will undertake the necessary steps for any new lease to be able to come about in time for him to satisfy his overseas investment agency requirements and stay in business. Hence the requested July deadline. And if this is somehow not manageable, I would like staff or councillors to give some good reasons. And just briefly, as an overseas investor who has been obliged to throw quite a bit of money at the holiday park, Mr. Tilton seems to have done good for the district as well. And I think we owe it not only to him, but to our constituents to firmly commit to a deadline that gives them a sporting chance to be able to stay in business, and also reflecting that he apparently has been asking council for a revised lease since about 2017, the year after he took over the holiday park. And just to finish, of course, whether or not he is offered a new lease will still be subject to the outcome of the required public consultation, and the stipulation will be that he must adhere to any recommendations in the new reserve management plan when it comes about. That's what
Okay, thank you, Councillor Campbell. Before I ask for a second, do any councillor need want some clarification? Now, Councillor Lachlan.
Good. So when we normally do our motions, we've got like paper from our staff and it covers things in the local government act, like what are the options that you're looking at, what are the objectives and all those things. And then so it's handy to have these templates because it doesn't mean we don't have to learn the local government act section by section, but just trying to understand, maybe it's a question for Julie, if this isn't consistent with the local government act, can we actually do this resolution? So it's just a question.
I think what I'm saying to Councillor Campbell previously is there is a paper intended to come to council at the end of March during this time, which outline we need.
I guess my question is this notice of motion lawful if we were to?
We have an obligation to set out options and actions to pass this. And so there would be some concern. Not decision didn't have some information in front of you. So yes, my view is it will be able to march with
Julie, any other points of clarification? Okay. Yes, Councillor Williamson.
Well, this time we should be critiquing the actual one that we've got, the 1 and 2, but obviously it's preempting any sort of decision made by the most reserve management. Well, so in terms of, so I think if I'm more appropriate place for March, we take that council to more information as to what's the end, where it's going with this situation.
Councillor Park.
Yes, Your Worship, I'd be quite happy to give Councillor Campbell reasons why I'm not comfortable with this notice of motion, but would it have to be seconded to open up a discussion, or because of the way it's written, is it null and void?
Yeah, the process will be seconded. We will go into a I'll probably just not have a question or clarification, but I'll ask for a seconder of Councillor Campbell's motion. Do I have a seconder?
I'll second on the basis that I think that it should be discussed, and I think it's a good transparent way of having the discussion. Happy to hear Duncan elaborate a little bit and hear some discussion from our fellow councillors.
Okay, a motion has been seconded, so back to the Linda for more commentary.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, just I suppose all I'm trying to get out of this notice of motion is firm deadline, exactly as I said, really, to give some surety to the current leaseholder that when our decision comes about, whether or not we are going to give him a lease or not, that decision will be made before he's out of time and gets booted out of business by the Overseas Investment Agency, which I'm going on what he tells me is his timelines and commitments. And I haven't been given any good reasons why this timeline, July, can't be met. I mean, I think that's sort of, if we can meet it. I mean, the reserve management plan is held up to be a different process than this lease, so they are sort of separate issues. So sometimes this gets conflated a bit too much, but the idea is that any conditions or recommendations out of that reserve management plan, any stipulations still have to be met. So what's the problem, I suppose? Why can't we meet this deadline?
Councillor Westerman.
We've just heard from our CE that the matter's going to be brought to the attention of the council in March, and I don't know why we're not just waiting for that date. It's still within Councillor Campbell's timeline there, but I do worry that his motion is opening up a little bit of an issue for council if we start working in with private individuals in their commercial capacity regarding their lease, whether the lease is with the council or someone else. It's his issue that he's got some obligations under the overseas investment, and quite frankly, I don't think as a council that's our problem.
Councillor Mark.
Yes, just in response to Councillor Campbell, and my reasoning for not agreeing with him in this one of the motion is understanding orders section 27.2C. I believe there is insufficient information about a significant decision. There's no detail on how this prescriptive consultation is to be undertaken in the timeframe, in a timely fashion to meet the community's needs, not just an individual timeframe. Under the Local Government Act 77.1C, to achieve object of decision which is as significant to hapu and a body of water, waihi tapu, valued flora, fauna and other taonga. Under section 78, part 1, this is of great community value, so that cannot be a rush through process for one individual. Section 79, compliance with procedures and decision making, it doesn't meet. Section 80 would create an inconsistent decision under the Reserves Act. Section 81.1 provides an opportunity, it doesn't provide opportunity for hapu to contribute to the consultation process. And under the Reserves Act, section 121, a consent may be given conditionally or only after the approval of a reserve management plan. We're already probably 3/4 of the way through the approval of the reserve management plan update. So to me, this is an unlawful notice of motion.
That is so for us, we're running the file. I'll just check the other councillors. Councillor Lockton.
The lessee ask you to do this paper or?
Yeah,
This motion, sorry.
No, it was my idea.
Councillor Williamson and then Councillor Stewart.
I can't understand the sentiment of Councillor Campbell is not getting it, but I think that's good for the two values. You do sort of said that the military reserve management plan should be, was a separate issue. But you're also saying that the new list to include a clause states the lessees should be required to adhere to the recommendations on. So it struck me the other way, but I think it's almost, to me, it's undermining, not deliberate, undermining the process we're going through as well. It's that objective as well. This is
Really valid points around the table for consideration. Absolutely. My question, if it's okay through the chair, I just would like to ask a question about the around the public consultation aspect of this lease, because we'll have a prescribed way in which and the time that we must be out for consultation, which has some concerns that we'll be able to meet that time frame regardless.
I guess what we're asking is,
to consider the format it. So bring a paper to you, using the timeframes and the legal requirements, so that you basically get the full picture of the information. So that it's make this.
Very good, thank you. Councillor Park?
You just through the chair, just for just a point of clarification, because this notice of motion has been brought to us today regardless of the outcome, if it were to fail, how can we discuss this at next month's meeting? Because once you bring a notice of motion on a subject, you therefore can't bring it up again for it to come up.
Understanding is once you do have a motion that's being considered, that can't be back to the table, but this would be a matter of CE to put onto the agenda for an issue with section.
Thank you.
Thank you for that clarification. Okay, final reply, the member.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, I must say I'm not heartened by the enthusiasm to simply give a deadline that we can get a job done by. And I still haven't heard. I mean, of course, consultation with Hapu and public has to occur. We will get a paper in March about this. I don't know, for some time I've been trying to get some sort of confirmed timeline, but I'm just quite flabbergasted that it can't be given actually, and that's why this motion came about. So as an overseas investor, I think, and he seems to have done a good job at the place, I think we should be helping rather than hindering, and I'm not sure I'm hearing that at the table. So I can only encourage, if we're going to vote on this, to let's make it happen.
We understand councillors' concerns and we hear around this, setting the timeframes, asking for this chance to be able to present legal requirements, steps that we need to be able to go through. We understand.
Okay, the motion has been moved by Councillor Campbell, seconded by Councillor Shepherd. Can I have a show of hands, please, forward? Those against? So the motion is lost. Thank you. 5.2. Would you like your
Can I abstain, please?
and the abstention here from Councillor Greenslade? Okay. All good. 5.2, approval for sculptures proposed by the Taupō Sculpture Trust. Andrew Moranis. And Christine. Good afternoon, Christine. I think Colleen, you want to say a couple of
This just,
providers product will be potentially. Floor is yours.
right. Well, thank you so much for having, hearing for many years, our desire to add some more sculptures to the beautiful display that we already have in Taupō. So on behalf of the
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, shall I sit down?
Yeah,
Right. Okay. So on behalf of the dedicated team at Taupō Sculpture Trust, I just want to assure the Taupō councillors that the Gregor Krieger sculpture Boom Boom, which we're about to discuss, will be a huge asset to the town. It will appreciate in value. It will be an iconic feature in the newly established Riverside Sculpture Trail. Without it, there would be no trail. And I want to assure you that Gregor Krieger is one of the few preeminent sculptors in New Zealand, and his sought-after works are really available to be purchased. And this is just a one-off unique opportunity which we'd love you to embrace. Thank you so much.
Okay. Henry.
Thank you very much, Your Worship and councillors. I will take the paper as read, but I'd like to highlight a few points if I may. They are all covered in the paper, but probably helps to highlight them. So one is, as per the MOU, the council is not selecting the sculpture. That's in the MOU, that role has been allocated to the Sculpture Trust, and the Sculpture Trust have carried out a process, and as a result of that process, they're proposing the sculpture. The second thing I'd like to highlight is, again, as mentioned, that this process and the procedure with which we brought this paper to you is consistent with the MOU, and it's aligned to the Arts and Culture Ngātoe Action Plan, which Council received late last year. The third thing is this is not, we're not seeking at this point any approval for any further funds. The funds referred to in the paper, for context, were approved in the 21-31 long-term plan and are currently allocated in council budget. So the purpose of this meeting is not to seek any additional funds beyond what has already been allocated. And the last thing is to just, again, as an extension of that, to be clear that council's decision on funding in the future is not being determined at this meeting. There's a process through the long-term plan whereby council decides to allocate funding for the future, and that opportunity will still come to you in the vehicle of the LTP. So you may wish to consider council's priorities at this point in time in the way you allocate funding through the 2024-34 long-term plan. That we're in the middle of that at the moment, and you will have the opportunity to make those decisions over the coming months. Thank you.
Good. Questions, I think. Councillor Lockman.
More of a comment than a question. Yeah, for me, I think it's important that we honour commitments made in terms of what's in our long-term plan. In terms of, like I said, it's already budgeted for, it's allocated and everything else, but I still think it's important that we try to honour those decisions made by previous councils. But I want to be clear, this is just for me, that as pointed out, this doesn't sort of lock us into any future funding, and certainly we've got a long-term plan process where those things can be discussed and examined. So that's just my comments more than anything, and I'll be happy to move it when we get to that place.
Thank you very much. Now, Councillor Williamson.
It's not on the similar vein of Council Lockman, obviously, MOU gave it. I mean, it was decided back in 2018, and I think obviously it's a subject of quite a debate, obviously, amongst members and also will be in the community. But I think as in 5 years old, and whether or not it's, I personally believe it's right or wrong or the right decision. I believe we should be supporting the Sculpture Trust, and so on that basis, I would be supportive.
Any other commentary? Councillor Park.
Through the chair, whilst I really appreciate all the work that's gone into this, and I was part of council at the time to improve the destination sculpture, I would ask that this resolution be moved in two parts as opposed to collectively, the two parts of the resolution. When we looked at this originally, it was before a world pandemic, it was before the cost of living going out the gate, and I just don't think it sends a really good message to the community that just because there's a budget for it, it doesn't mean we have to spend it. So I support that flip goes up. We've got that beautiful sculpture, and it's been displaced, and it's now got a new home. I support the sculpture trail. I think it's a wonderful idea, but right now I don't support $100,000 towards public art when there is such hurt out there financially, and we all know that with our LTP discussions that there's a lot of fiscal pain.
Councillor Rankin.
I think this has been a really difficult decision for all of us, bearing in mind the position that we're currently in. And if this was future funding for 24 to 34, I certainly wouldn't be in favour of it. And I think we have to balance up the future funding for arts, and I know that decision can't be made today, but this has to be paid for, so we can always balance that up with it not being part of the next couple of years, and that's certainly contributing to this payment. But I think we have made this commitment, and I know it's really hard to see at the moment, but our business in town, in the district, is based on visitors, and I agree with Christine, this is going to make a dramatic difference to the number of people who come here. It's going to be really controversial to begin with, as his other works are, and then it will attract multi-thousands of visitors. And we have to think about sustaining our business as well. So I believe we made the commitment. We worked it out before. It's about $4 a ratepayer. It's already paid for, and I think that needs to be balanced up in the future funding with how we support arts until we are in a much better financial position. So I'll be voting for it. Thank you.
Councillor Westerman.
Yes, I agree with Christine's comments as well, and on top of that, that has been met within the community to meet funding of 100,000 as well.
Councillor Greenslade.
Thank you, Your Worship. This has put councillors, particularly those of us who are new around the table, in a very difficult position. I'm mindful that we've currently got a government who is reversing decisions that have been made by previous elected politicians, such as we are. And commitments are always something we all know a commitment is a commitment. However, I'm very mindful that the whole district, in fact, the whole country is faced with cutting costs at present, and we're seeing these costs being cut absolutely everywhere. And these sorts of cuts are going to cut deep into some of the communities that I personally represent, and we are already seeing it in our district. As a qualified art teacher, I struggle with opposing this. I really do. But I am going to oppose it on the grounds that times have changed. We are not in the space that we were in 2021. And the fact that we are different councils around this table. And I think that it's something that this community might not thank us for. I think we might have huge criticism, and that's not the reason I'm going against it because I'm going to become unpopular. I'm against it because I think $100,000 or $4.76 for every single ratepayer in the district is a stretch too far. I'd like to see the $100,000 invested in something a little bit more appropriate for our district. Having said that, I would like to support Councillor Park's recommendation that we split the motion into two. We've already got Flip. It's been in storage. I thought that's a lovely sculpture. I really like that. And I think that I would like to see that placed on the sculpture trail. So I support one, but not the other.
Thank you. Any other? Councillor Campbell.
Yes, as a new councillor, I am somewhat torn, I've got to say. I believe in honouring past commitments. Yeah, that's a arts get a raw deal in New Zealand in general. I know that. I mean, yeah, we're not the capital. We're not in Europe or anything. Arts get a raw deal. There's no question about that. I think I'll have to wait till we actually make the vote, but I probably will support it because I believe in arts and I believe in sticking commitments. I'm personally somewhat disappointed that I didn't get my idea for the kids climbing wall handholds. But yeah. I think we can make. I think we can do it, and it's worthwhile, and we can make savings elsewhere.
Councillor Truman.
Yeah, so I'm of the same thought. The amount of time, energy, and yeah, it was phenomenal for you guys to get $100,000 that matches this. And I'm no art expert, so I'm hopeful that what you're saying is right and it will attract a lot of people, because it's probably not something that I would think is like total centric or even like district wide. So I'll take the expertise of the Sculpture Trust on board, and yeah, like Councillor Campbell said, you know, we don't put a lot of funding into this. This isn't new funding because I'm also so aware of the you know, cost of living crisis that we're currently in. And I'm probably in a similar view to Councillor Rankin that going forward we're going to have to, you know, cut our costs. So yeah, so just thankful for the work that the trust has done, and yeah, like to see all these businesses that are going to turn up.
The original mandate.
Yes, I'm happy to move both separately. That's something.
Just going to compensate. Yeah, look, I have to say I've been really torn by this decision. As a new first-term councillor, this is an historic decision. And as Christine's pointed out, if this was to come out of our budget that we're working on now, you know, coming out of the LTP, I'd be a no, given the effect that it may or may not have on public purse strings. But as I say, this is an historical decision. The decision was made. A lot of effort has gone into getting to this point. You're right, arts don't get a lot of funding. This is already budgeted for. It's not new funding requests. So on that basis, I will support it.
Thank you, Councillor Shepherd. The original mover, Councillor Lachlan, are you happy to split it up? Yep. Okay. So you move both. So number one there, no other discussion. So the first number one of the recommendation has been moved by Councillor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Williamson. Could I have all those in favour, please? The second one is number one. One of that recommendation is moved by Councillor, seconded by Councillor Williamson. All those in favour, please raise your hand. Number one is passed. And number two approves the, which is the people against. Would you like that recorded? Councillor Greenslade and Councillor Park. Okay, number two approves the installation of float at the Riverside Park, being moved by Councillor Lachlan, seconded by Councillor Williamson. Raise your hands, please. So that is passed. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That is wonderful.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Sorry, Your Worship.
Final consideration of plan change 39, residential building coverage. Good afternoon, Marie. How are you?
Yeah, good afternoon, Your Worship and councillors. Hopefully a nice straightforward one for you now. This is very much just a mechanical item. I'll take it as read, but you'll remember in December last year, you approved the decision and we went out and notified that, and then we just have to wait a 30-day period for any appeals, which we received none. So now we come back to you. It's sort of multiple steps here, but we come back to you for final approval, then we notify it, and then it becomes operative. But just as reassurance, in the meantime, since we had no appeals, the consents team can grant any consents or treat it as operative in any consents that they receive in the meantime. Happy to take any questions.
Just so great to see common sense prevailing. We had so many applications that were actually releasing a layer of bureaucracy and actually enabling people what they want to do with their properties. So just a big thanks to you and your team for making things easier for the people in Taupō to do what they want to do with their properties. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Yes, Councillor Williamson, it's more of a comment that is probably the team that we're in with the work done through the whole process that you mentioned. So I'll have to move there.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Williamson. Councillor Campbell?
Just a question really, like, on the face of it, 30-35% doesn't sound like much.
Yeah.
I mean, did we think larger?
We
40,
did.
45, 50.
Yes, no, we did. This was really a quick win, plan change. We wanted to get it through without any appeals because that makes things slow and expensive. So we wanted to increase it without perhaps attracting any more attention, but be reassured that we are now on to our second bundle of plan changes, which includes a full review of the residential chapter. So we will go back to the Balkan location, which is all the provisions that look at how big your buildings can be on your site. We will go back to those provisions and re-look at them in the wider context. They all interrelate together. So if we wanted to go bigger, then we kind of need to make sure that we're looking at the whole package rather than just one thing in isolation. So.
Councillor Loughlin.
Just a question for newbies. When does it become up?
So I've snuck a public notice in for Friday this week, and then it has to, it's at least 5 days after that. So it will become operative on the 8th of March. I think that gets us to. But like I said, the consents team already treat it as operative. So any consents received in the meantime are already being operating under that 35%.
Against? Carried. Thank you very much. Right, 5.4, appointment of commissioners. Delegation of proposed land use conservation consent. The consent notice for the dwelling. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So this is another request to look at appointing independent commissioners. So what we have is an application that was publicly notified, and out of that process we had 8 submissions, and in that 2 were in opposition. But no one wanted to request a hearing. So in this instance, we don't automatically go to a hearing. So there's no need to hold a hearing. But given there are 2 submissions in opposition, for impartiality, the best place for that decision, we believe, is to be dealt with by an independent commissioner. So in the instance that we don't need to go to a hearing, it can be read on the papers, and we've recommended there that one suitably qualified commissioner, being Mr. Bill Wosley, could do that. In the instance that we do end up having a hearing, so as I said, we don't need to go to a hearing at the moment, but should the council planner's recommendation be that the application be declined, or there isn't agreement on conditions, it's in the applicant's best interest to go to a hearing. So a hearing could still be requested and needed. So in that instance that we do end up in a hearing, there's an opportunity for our councillors to be involved. Now, Councillor Westerman has already put forward her conflict. I know Councillor Taylor isn't here, but he has indicated he doesn't have a conflict and so would be potentially available. So in that instance that we do go to a hearing, I've also put forward for that opportunity for the chairperson to be the qualified person, being in this instance Mr. Wosley, and supported by Mr. Councillor Taylor. Yes, we have one conflict from Councillor Westerman. So where it says one or both of these councillors, yes, we would need to remove Councillor Westerman, I believe.
Very good. Okay, here. Any points of clarification? So land, is it? That's not it. Yes. Okay, I've got you. Councillor Loughlin.
I'm happy to move with that amendment.
Yeah. Thank you. Second, please. Thank you, Councillor Truman. Any other discussion?
Oh, through the chair, if the Councillor Taylor isn't available, don't you need a backup or Oh,
He's indicated he is available.
well, sick, you know, COVID. The backup plan, is there a backup plan or?
So we don't know if we're going to go to need a hearing at the moment, and we would do our best to work around timing to enable him to be available. But yes, if he isn't, then there is an option to that it is done by the sole person. It probably doesn't read that way at the moment. I see what you mean. He could, if you want to have that.
Very good. Okay. Councillor Michael, bring up Councillor Bennett.
Councillor Trewavas.
Sorry. Oh, Councillor Truman, sorry, you second. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. Thanks, Heather. 5.5, we have appointment of local controllers.
Kia ora koutou. Bit of a good news paper for you. I'm probably a bit biased, but always good to bring these ones here. So the purpose of this paper is just to update you on the appointment of Civil Defence Emergency Management local controllers. As many of you will know, that getting controllers is not an easy task. It's they need to go through a very decent amount of work to be able to get nominated in the first place, and do some training, and then get approved by a joint committee. So really just an update for you around Hadley Tattle, who is our Community Engagement and Development Manager. He has been appointed as our controller, currently our only one, and also Steve Giles, who is our Council Events and Venues Manager. We expect to be appointed next month. So really just an update for you, but happy to take any questions.
Okay, any questions?
Thank you, Libby. So the question really is, this is for the whole of the Taupō District, including the Southern Shores, and they presumably operate out of here. So is there local controllers in the southern area of the lake, or how does it operate?
So through the chair, the controller is for the district, but as you know, a lot of the way that we work across Aotearoa with Civil Defence Emergency Management is we pitch in to help where there is a need. And so primarily Hadley and Steve and anyone else who becomes a controller down the track, that they will look at the district. They're responsible for the district, but there will be times when they'll be required to go out of district. We don't have subsets of Taupō District, so we wouldn't have a controller in Taupō, Turangi, Mangakino, Kinloch. Ideally, we would have at least 4 controllers, and it would be a bonus if they were, spread across the district. But at this stage, Steve and Hadley are both based here.
That's a
Probably more just to clarify what Councillor Greenslade is that we also have MOUs between emergency management, Taupō with Ruapehu, and also Taupō South Waikato and Taupō Rotorua. So if there were a need, we do have other resources that we can lean on as well. But I'll be very happy to move it.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Park. Moved by Councillor Park, seconded by Councillor Greenslade. That we received the information. Thank you, Libby. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried. 1.6.
Can we just record a thanks for these, their hard work, studying, obviously passing?
Yes.
Just to thank you for the time and effort involved in insurance. A little bit of work involved, isn't it? That was
Adoption of report on dog control policy and practices. Mr. Ross McDonald. Afternoon, Ross, and Chair. Right. What do you got for us?
Good afternoon, Mayor David, councillors, CE, council staff. Hope you're well. So we're here basically just to put before you our annual dog reporting on our annual. Start that again. It's been a long day already. Let's do that one. So on our policies and procedures, as per direction from government for Section 10A of the Dog Control Act. So as I'll take the report as being read, I would like to make a couple of comments before I get the attention. And that's basically just say that obviously we were thrilled to get 99.2% again with our known dogs registered in a very austere climate of that financial year. As you're all aware, it can come without its challenges for most people. And just thank our staff while I'm here publicly, because we probably ran at about 75% of staffing for that for most of that financial year. So as though we are essentially a reactive part of council, we do that as proactively as we can. So as I said, just like to publicly acknowledge them. And yeah, happy to take any questions on the report if you have them.
Question. Ross, as you said, you're in a reactive space, and you guys are just a phenomenal job, and just the intentions of working with people to just the outlook that you guys have got as a team is absolutely fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a green slate.
Thank you, Lucia. Yes, Ross, I just want to make a comment about the fact that you've removed the amnesty cages, and also just support you in your action on that, and the fact that you are reactive and that people can ring you at any time. And even though the amnesty cages are not there any longer, it doesn't reduce the service that you're providing to the community. And I just would like to do a local plug for our own people in Turangi who support you in your work, and do everything they can, I think, to try and make your life and everybody else's life easier when it comes to dog control in the district. I did note the number of dog owners and the number of dogs. A lot of people have more than one dog.
Sure.
Yes, which, yeah, and I would like to say I had a discussion with Stacey before this meeting, and said to her, what's the current state down there? And as you know, she's no longer taking dogs. And we are suffering from the romance of COVID present, where it's very, very difficult to get people to adopt dogs now.
Yep.
And that is a very serious challenge for you. But yeah, but like Councillor Leonard, great work.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Greenslade. Did you have a commentary? The last question.
Oh, it's easy.
Yeah, and I think the sentiment about the staff and whatever there was, facing the pub.
Thank you.
I said,
I will.
morning to you. Yeah, well done. Okay. Yeah.
No worries, all good. Cheers, thank you.
Thanks, guys. Can I have a motion, please, to accept the double report? Thank you, Councillor Gibbon. Seconded by Councillor Rinka. Please, sign right. Thanks again. Carried. Item 5.7, exemption of the Lake Total Protection Trust as a controlled, council-controlled organisation. Hi, Karen. Good afternoon.
Good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
Hi, everybody. So this paper relates to applying for an exemption of Lake Taupō Protection Trust from the CCO requirements under the Act, which we can do given its nature and scope of activities. The paper, I think, is reasonably clear, and I take it as read. If you've got any questions, please let me have them. Thank you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'd just like to make a comment, and it's not about the messenger, but the direction of travel that this has taken from when the trust was in charge of this, to having established that team that were involved. And I just feel like this is something that's sitting somewhere on the desk that's not being actioned, which was my fear at the time that we made that decision. Yes, I'd just like that noted somewhere. Yeah, dissatisfaction.
Councillor Williams, we gather councillors or councillors policies to be part of running places. It doesn't necessarily, but supportive of councillors' comments, and given the actual where we are responsible to actually especially in the way, so exciting move.
Councillor Park.
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. At the Mangakino-Pouakani representative group the other day, we were spoken to by Councillor Michael Downer, who is our regional councillor, about the priority for the regional council's LTP is in fact waterways and the health of our rivers and lakes. And I think to him that in hindsight, the establishment of the Lake Taupo Protection Trust probably wasn't the greatest thing to do, on which he agreed. So I think we can make probably a fairly good submission around that, because Lake Taupo is a shining light in the Waikato region waterway.
Okay. The recommendation be 1 and 2.
I'm happy to move.
Have we moved? Do I have a second? Councillor Shepherd. Thank you very much. 1 and 2. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carry.
Abstain, please.
Abstained by Councillor Leonard. Thank you, Councillor Leonard. Thank you, Councillor. Right, 5.8 is the Taupō District Council performance report. Really, you're in the second scene.
It's actually our first performance report for 2024, so this is a chance to actually get a look at the financials, progress on projects, and to get an update from the team. So I'm looking to start the conversation. For myself and the rest of the team, be happy to take questions or comments. So any really, I'd just like to acknowledge Andrew, who was obviously very involved in the conversation on the 8th of March. Very excited on a great release. Congratulations to him. We're sad to leave and to lose him, but we're wishing all the best for the goal achieved.
Good afternoon, councillors, Mayor and Sigui. I'll take the financial section of the report as read. There's not a lot of change in how we're tracking. Things are tight though, as you can see by the operating expenditure being slightly over budget. All the budget changes that you have approved are now included in the adjusted forecast changes. So it now has the engineering issue matter included. So our surplus has decreased. That's wrong, sorry. Our surplus has moved downwards by $180,000. And our capital investment, sorry, there was a typo there as well. Just in the first sentence, it says we have deployed 15 point something million. It should read 28.9 million, which is what's in the graph. So apologies for that. And the rest of the report is straightforward. Just on the TL update, we've now transferred nearly all of the money. I think there's about $12 million left to go to Forsyth Bar, and then they will have all of the money to invest in as you've requested them to do. And Julie's also been very busy signing a few contracts as well in the last little while. So happy to take any questions.
Sorry, Mike and Lady Parker, has it been started?
Yes, so the fabrication has started. They haven't started on site yet.
Any more questions? Thank you, Denise.
Thank you.
Tēnā koutou. It's good to see you all. This is our first significant projects update for 2024. It's actually month 9 of delivery for the financial year. And I'm just providing you with a little bit more detail on the 22 projects in our significant projects list. Obviously, there's way more that sits beneath this. But obviously over a period of 4 months, there's been quite a few changes, so I'll just step you through it. Essentially 6 improvements or upgrades and 8 downgrades across the RAG status. And I've got Travis here today to talk to you a little bit more about the Wairakei Hooker Falls Road roundabout project, which I know you're all interested in. And in keeping with tradition, it's good to have a little bit more of a deep dive into some of those projects. So I'd like to just start with the Drinking Water Standards Program. You've obviously got 3 projects quite closely linked, and I just wanted to start by laying any concerns, because it does look a little bit red in front of you on that page. Obviously, Kinloch has downgraded cost to red from amber, and tightly coupled Omori and Motuopa have downgraded cost and time. Now, these downgrades all link to this program of compliance work, which I'm sure you're across with the recent LTP discussions, to bring the sites up to drinking water standards. Obviously, to commence with Kinloch, the biggest project, which is about $14 million, essentially upgrading the entire water pipe network and rising mains, along with a water treatment plant build. The good news is we have now commenced piling at site, which is expected to take 10 to 12 weeks. The real challenge for this project has been around the contaminated land and the poor geotech conditions, obviously being close to the lake as well, while meeting extremely high seismic standards. The piling solution for the water treatment plant has been more complex than planned, but we now have a really solid bespoke foundation solution which has been agreed, and we can be comforted that the end product will be a plant that's operable after a significant seismic event. Omori and Motuopa are obviously smaller, but the same program of delivery, same resource pool, meaning that delays and inflation on hardware impacts significantly. It's possible that Omori, however, given its size and lower level of complexity, will be delivered before Kinloch. So getting to the solutions meant more time, more products that were at the mercy of inflation, something that multi-year programs like this are more likely to feel. But now that we're into the piling, the cost risk has actually decreased as much more is known about the projects. Moving on to Tauhara Ridge Reservoir and Airport Connection, which is a pretty important enabling project for the EUL. By comparison, we've had time go from red to amber as consultants make some solid progress around design and tender documentation, which is due to go out in April. Wairakei Drive and Hooker Falls Road, I'll hand over to Travis to give you a little bit more of an update.
Afternoon, everyone. So Wairakei Hooker Falls Road site establishment started on the 12th of February. We have, if you've driven out that way, you'd see some cones on the road. We haven't had to implement any detours as of yet. It's just reduced speeds at the moment. I would expect in 2 weeks' time we will have to implement a detour on Hooker Falls Road, or detouring down Hooker Falls Road. I have a distribution list of all the businesses that are affected in that area. Everything is remaining open. That was stipulated in the contract, and signage access to all those businesses. So they are very much being kept in the loop about everything out there. Also working with Russ from the comms team. So we have our comms plan in place. So as soon as any detours go in place, that gets communicated out. There'll also be VMS boards that are going up. The program runs until the end of May. I'm hoping to deliver it before that. We're already finding some gains as it is. Yeah. It will depend. So in 2 weeks' time, we're anticipating closure for a couple days to do the center islands for the roundabout. But I think it's important to note it's a soft closure. So we have to keep access to all of those, but we want the main traffic to detour down Hooker Falls Road. So it's just soft closures, and the contract stipulates that after business hours, the road Wairakei Drive is open, and on weekends, long weekends, and our major events. Nope. Yep, access has to be provided because we have the Creators of the Moon Tourist Park up there, not just the mountain biking tracks. Yep. No, the golf club maintenance sheds. Oh. I'm playing cricket with the head's greenkeeper tomorrow, so I'll talk to him about it. Tomorrow evening. Oh, yeah. Yeah, the everyone out there is really supportive of it because it is a dangerous intersection. That was the genesis of the project was the road to zero, and that's why we received the government funding for it.
Good.
While Travis is here, sorry.
Just going back to the drinking water operation. Have you compromised using that same contractor between Oaks Roper and Maury and what? I mean,
Hal.
yeah.
Well, they were signed up as part of the program of works. I mean, to some degree, it is a tight resource pool, but they're experts in their field. I'd say that the ground conditions have been more challenging than the risk of signing up with one contractor. Andrew wants to add anything?
Yeah, I guess I'd just add to that by saying there was before my time, but the trade-off was between attracting sufficiently qualified contractors by creating scale and by bundling these projects together. That was done. The trade-off was probably that we experienced this time risk. At the time, the trade-off was less towards time because we didn't understand that we would be under the same pressures from the regulator as we are now. And so the decision was made to proceed in a way that probably gave us a bit more cost efficiency and a bit less and a bit more exposure to time delays. In retrospect, perhaps it might have been alternatives that we considered, but at the time, the information we had, that probably still was the right decision.
Just while Travis is here, I know you had some questions, Your Worship, regarding the lighting installation, and it just so happens that he project manages the OD Park upgrade, so I'm sure he can tell you a little bit more about the installation time, which I think September.
Yeah. Well, actually, I thought Andrew did a really good job. I'm wondering if he has access to my laptop and my my program. Yeah. So it's a design build contract. So they're currently they've done the design. They're procuring all the equipment. And so it has to be shipped over here. I think it is, and without my program directly in front of me, I believe it's week 16 before we start seeing anyone on site because there's still consenting issues. We were recently granted the resource consent for the works. There'll be building consents, but it's still, we're probably about 2 months away from actually anyone on the ground doing stuff because there's still a lot of things in the background that happen with engineering and.
I don't want to get detailed, but are there new pylons that go up or from new?
Yep.
Poles? Yeah.
Yep. So there's the old ones will hopefully be never seen again because I think they were used when we got them. They won't be able to be repurposed. We can't get the luminaires for them anymore. Why the recyclable material can be recycled.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah. But it'll be 4 new poles that will be taller to meet broadcasting standards. And then training lights on level 3, which is the bottom part. Potentially there is that's Briar Forlong in our she's doing some work on house sponsorship. Might work for that. So that's just a side piece of work that's running along because we're looking at other things as well. But if you guys know someone that wants to sponsor the polls, I'm more than happy to meet with them. These polls are going to be very large, and there's lots of real estate to put a company name on them.
Why don't we make a sculpture out of it?
Right. Thank you, David. Thank you, and thank you, Panel.
Any other questions on the significant projects?
Just asking you the crystal ball guys, but do we really have any sort of a time frame around Omori and Motuoka for the finish date
Next financial year.
next financial year? Thank you.
Yeah.
Is there any further questions?
And just a thing, believe from the email, yeah, what's the one? Very sure. Getting was. Thanks, I think that's some. People that are very sure for that. Thank you.
CEO. Councillor Lachlan.
You need a mover?
Thank you very much. We've got it. Okay, the picture. Those in favour, please say aye. I did, sure. Right, next up we have Aaron, I think, council engagements, appointments and training and conference facilities, March 2024. Aaron?
Good everyone. So the only things that have changed is that the Te Papamārearea meeting has been cancelled for the 4th of March. It will be rescheduled, but we haven't heard from them yet as to when. And the Mangakino-Pouakani River Forum has been confirmed as being 10:30 to 12:30, so it's not as long. And just to note that there are probably some more long-term plan workshops to go in, and we'll just keep you updated on those. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Karen. Any queries on all those dates? And yeah. Adjustments, okay, for that, we move with please. Thank you, Councillor Williamson, seconded by Councillor Westman. All those in favour, please say aye. Against, carried. 5.10.
Sorry, David, I had my hand up.
Oh, sorry.
I'll be attending the Dairy Environmental Leaders Conference at no cost to the council in Wellington from the 11th to the 14th of March.
Then we just report.
It's training and engagement. I would suggest.
Right, members' portfolio updates. First up, we have economic and business. Councillor Rankin.
I've been to amplify meetings and had various meetings with DGLT this month. We also had rep group and I'm meeting with the ACA on the 11th of March. There's been some difficulties there and we're hoping to sort of future.
Thank you very much. Councillor Shepherd. Rural Travel Fund Sports Advisory Council.
Worship. Yes, the Sports Advisory Council had their first meeting for the year last week. That's really the only update that I have. I'm going to really going to at the new last week.
Youth and Technology, Councillor Karen. Nothing to report this month. Asian Disability, Councillor Truman. Arts and Culture, Councillor John Williamson.
Thank you, Richard. Nothing to report. I will be next month with the Creative Software Strategic meeting. So.
Thank you. All right, employment, Councillor Watson.
Nothing new to report, Your Worship. Just note that we've got the Breeding Taupō Steering Group on the 20th of March, and I won't be able to attend because I'll be in Auckland. Councillor Westman is going to be there, so I read. It's very good. And just note in June, 7th of June is the Wedding Taupō Day for 2024. Practicing my gardening between now.
Oh, my. Gardening show by then. Right, okay, very good. Thank you, Councillor Lachlan. Emergency management and strategic relationships, Councillor Park.
Thank you, Worship. I've attended a sort of a strategy meeting in Hamilton in regards to the management, strategic relationship. A couple of, well, a few councillors went to Nukaho Park to have a hui with the hapu up there, which was really valuable. Attended a DGLT board meeting, Mangakino-Pouakani rec group citizenship ceremony, and on the 10th of February we saw the Chinese New Year. We're in the year of the dragon, and being born in the year of the tiger has been quite a wealthy year for me, so it's hope it comes true.
Councillor Leonard, food production, primary industry.
Yeah, just from a community perspective, Taupō East received communications from Libby Bevan at the Ministry of Education. There's meant to be a consultation with the community in regards to the rezoning of Taupō East College. My concerns around food production and primary industries is attracting staff if people don't have choice of schools and where they'd like to send their students. There's a map which I believe creates a preconceived idea, which concerns me about the level of community consultation. So just that we will have children or connections to children, or people that will have people involved in schooling systems here, and what the impacts could be on our district. I would just like to raise that as a heads up. So that was received on the 23rd of February at 3:53 p.m.
Sure.
I just had a check night, in a couple of minutes in regards to the zoning. So it's going to be community consultation, or
Well, they've said, it's as stated, this community consultation is a fluid approach. We're happy to respond to feedback, but we've got draft maps ready. So is that consultation, I'd question, or is that preconceived concepts and ideas? So it does worry me that there's an idea that's not coming from the community, but we're saying that we're going to consult the community.
Sorry, no, we've just got community services now. Oh, were you on that subject? Okay, sorry.
Thank you, Councillor Leonard. I think Turangi would like to be involved in those conversations as well. There's a huge effect on our district, and perhaps we could talk to each other and find out what the college has got planned, because I think we are going to be involved in public consultations. Well, certainly talking to our communities and seeing what they think about what's actually happening and the effect on our community.
Briefly. Okay, Yvonne, community Wairau House and Fish Bay.
I attended the Wairau House meeting last week. It was very positive, and this was a wonderful place to hang out for a couple of hours. The Fish Bay Residents Association had been meeting earlier this month, and we're still, Andrew, you'll love to know this, still harping away about our missing entrance sign. So we're trying to work another way to spin the cat there.
Got that right. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Yvonne. Duncan, anything to report with you?
Oh, yes, Your Worship. I just want to say a few words on this second anniversary of the Wellington protests, which kicked off on my tenure day in 2022. Quite a few members of this district did attend, including myself, and which have left many scars of division in this nation and in this town, still yet unhealed. These protests were aimed at the government's stance on allowing the mandating of a novel medical treatment on people who had no desire to partake, as well as the separation of these people from many aspects of society, for arguably very little good reason. Time, I believe, is not being kind to the high-handed decision-making that went on from 2020 onwards by the government, including at this council table, for which so many people paid and are continuing to pay a heavy price, including loss of livelihoods, health problems, and severing of relationships, including within families. Just to finish. The employment mandates in particular were regrettable, I say shameful, episode that I sincerely hope will be acknowledged and apologised for in the near future in order for this nation and this town to move on.
Okay, thank you, councillors.
Oh, sorry, I thought you meant to go on to comment on that. Thank you, your worship.
No problem.
On the night, the February, Councillor Fletcher and myself attended the opening of the 10 new Kaingaroa homes in Turangi, along with all the people who've been involved in and a lot of the community. I have to say they're absolutely beautiful. I'd be very happy to live in any one of them. They were lovely. 15th of February, along with a lot of councillors, we went to the Mototuri Reserve Management meeting in Mototuri. There was a site visit beforehand. Thank you to the staff who arranged it. And then last week there was the Tongariro Rep Group. We're very happy to receive reports from the Ministry of Education about Tongariro School, which is currently under statutory management. So we do have a principal here, and the statutory managers will be working closely with the school on curriculum matters for as long as necessary. It's an open-ended process. The Waikato Regional Council joined us to talk about transport and undertook to take a survey in the Turangi district over our needs for transport. That was a huge step forward, I felt, and it was much appreciated again to the staff who arranged that. On Friday the 23rd, I attended a function at the Tukanu Turangi RSA to bless Alina, which was commemorating veterans from Southeast Asia. Many people from this district, and particularly the Turangi district, were involved in the engagements in Southeast Asia, which went from the 60s right through to 1989. And Mark Burton, former Minister of Defence, was the guest speaker along with myself. And I think so a great night was had by all commemorating and opening this Lena. So it's basically a bar Lena, but they've inserted medals from the period, and they gathered together all of the medals from the period, so you can actually see them. It's a nice way to just acknowledge, because actually people who served from that era are not always acknowledged, perhaps in a way, because it was a very, very controversial period in New Zealand, as we all know. I'd also like to comment on Wakakotahi closing the road on the week that school opened from 9 to 2:30. with completely unacceptable delays for families, children sitting for hours in hot weather. I thought it was extremely inconsiderate, and I thought completely unacceptable to our community. And just one final thing, on the back of our dog report, I did have a lovely conversation with Stacey Lewis, who looks after animal care in Turangi. She's currently no longer taking dogs because she can't cope with the number of dogs in the area that are not desexed, but she has got dog training programs going at present, a 6-week program, and she's got the next 2 programs fully subscribed. So clearly there's a need for that in our community, and it's been extremely popular. So I'd certainly like to commend Stacey for that initiative.
Yeah, sorry, it'd be remiss of me not to mention the fact that we have Ironman this weekend in the whole recreational sport portfolio. I'm looking forward to the event this weekend. It's always a fabulous event. There's lots of opportunities for sports groups to fundraise. All round a very good event. I'm looking forward to very much.
International.
Correct, that's what I've heard too.
So that's more than usual or less?
I think the quantum is you've seen more in it, right?
Oh.
But there is things coming up, so I suppose that's the driver. Thank you, councillors. Very good to see people here. Moved by Councillor Clark, seconded by Councillor Fletcher. All those in favour, please say aye. Against? Carried. That's the
closure of the upper part of the meeting. I'm going to move it into confidence. Thank you. Williamson, all those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Against? Carried.